Snyder Stepan looks into the shot, scores! Steve Sullivan!
Something's wrong, cause my mind is fading, and everywhere I look there's a dead end waiting. Temperatures dropping at the rotten oasis, stealing kisses from the leprous faces.
Hey there, welcome to HockeyFansMail for Tuesday, January 13th, 2009. I have screwed up a couple times, whether it was in the text or in my mouth, saying the wrong year. The goaltending situation in Vancouver. And I'd like to start with that. Luongo's supposedly going to come back on Thursday. This is the problem, though, because this is a team that's got... I mean, Schneider's okay. You can send him down. They have Sanford and they have LaBarbera. Who's going to be the backup? Most people are sort of assessing is that LaBarbera would take the helm because of the way he's played. Pretty good amount of experience. You know, maybe he's proving that part of his previous woes were because he was playing on an LA Kings team that wasn't his skill. He seems like he's the real deal, so... he's going to go ahead and be the backup, so now what do you do with Sanford? Are there teams out there that would want him as their backup? And as I said yesterday, apparently Boston may be shopping Fernandez. There are going to be goaltenders available, so where does a guy like Sanford fit in terms of the depth chart, and what can you end up getting for him? If you recall, Huet ended up going for a second rounder. When Huet was traded to the Washington Capitals for a second rounder, he had the best save percentage post-lockout. The amount you could get for a goaltender, the market was dry. It's quite dry again. So what can they really do with Sanford other than either waive him? And honestly, I'm thinking that's what's going to end up happening. If you have any ideas, shoot us an email of what would make sense, HockeyFansMail@yahoo.com. The other big story today is another rumor, is a trade rumor about Lecavier. Maybe not being shopped, but there's maybe something being in the works. People have thrown Montreal out there. The only problem with the Habs, though, two things. One, there's indications that he wasn't all that interested in playing with the Habs in the first place. The Lightning signed him. The Habs had apparently contacted the Lightning and said, we will take Lecavier off your hands because we can give him basically the maximum, which you guys may not be interested in. Anyway, they worked out a deal, but this is a team in financial duress, and I guess they want to get his 80-odd million off of their books to sort of compensate for the losses that are occurring. When they had a deal, when they were talking to the Tampa Bay Lightning last time he was going to be unrestricted about getting him, all indications are leaning towards the fact that he doesn't want to be a Hab. If this is true, then he'd be the second guy in the last few years. Briere, as you remember, the Habs apparently offered him the same contract he got from Philly, but he went to Philly, and people are sort of going, what did we have to do? A lot of it has to do with the French media. I guess they can be pretty darn harsh, and guys don't want to deal with that. I just think that players nowadays are wieners, and they can't handle it. They want to have all the gushy, live in the South, and, and be all chillin'. But they don't want to have to, they like being in markets where nobody cares, there's no pressure. The type of guy you want in a Canadiens uniform, if you're a Habs fan, is the type of guy that wants the pressure, the type of guy that wants to be there. If Lecavier, if the reason he doesn't want to be a Hab or didn't want to be a Hab was because of, I don't want to be in Montreal with all the pressure, I mean, it's the guy's hometown. If I'm a Hab fan, I don't want him anyway then. The second thing I don't like about the Habs going after Lecavier is, what are they going to move? I mean, they're a competitive team, contender, you could argue. What piece of this solid team now, or pieces, are they going to have to move to bring in a guy like Lecavier? You start fiddling around. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Having said that, if this guy is going to move, there are other teams in the league that might be interested in Vinny Lecavier. A team like Edmonton, any team that really hasn't had that big name guy. Even a team like the Canucks. The only teams that you maybe take out of the mix that wouldn't have any interest at all, wouldn't even make a phone call. Teams that already have superstar caliber players that are young or in their prime and are already, big salary cap hits, like a Washington, of course, wouldn't be interested. But any other team, basically, that needs a superstar, I could see interest. If Tampa is listening, this would be a humongous trade. This would be, in my opinion, comparable, if not more huge, than a Joe Thornton to San Jose. It's your Leafs minute. So 2-0 for the Preds. Bit of a boring hockey game. Shall I say horribly boring hockey game? The Leafs have failed to really, either they failed to generate scoring chances in the last couple of weeks, or they've just simply failed to capitalize. Tonight, it was a bit of column A, bit of column B. The chances they had were pretty mediocre, so probably a little more of A than B, but they just can't score. Check out this clip. Nashville goalie Rin. Buddy is huge. Moore looks like he's the same height of him when Rin's on his knees, for Pete's sake. I like the little segment that Paul Hendricks did with Antropov tipping shots. That was pretty funny. But I also like Antropov saying that he kind of was influenced by Dave Anderchuk. Just in case you didn't know, Antropov and Ponikarovsky both, I believe, have dual citizenship. They spend their summers for the most part up here, or over here, I should say, and in Alaska. They do a lot of fishing, stuff like that. Just in case you didn't know. Joe Bowen had a good little clip today after Ward blocked this shot. The Stanley Cup is the second most important cup in hockey. The Leafs are what they are. They've been getting by. Ron Wilson's been squeezing every drop out of this lineup he possibly can. They're going to lose games. They're not good enough, and they're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. And other teams are starting to get better as we head into the second half of the season. Being that we have some time today, I also want to talk about some hockey history. There are two main influential guys that I can think of, at least. Obviously, email us HockeyFansMail@yahoo.com if you know of any others. I'm going to do a goaltender. Today I'm going to do the skater. It's Bobby Hull. Bobby Hull is from Belleville. Well, he's from Point Anne, which is now a part of Belleville. He played all his hockey growing up down there. He played junior down there. Played junior for the Galt Blackhawks and the St. Catharines Teepees in the OHA. He joined the Hawks in 1957. As an 18-year-old, of course. When he played for Chicago, he wore number 16 and number 7 originally. Of course, we all remember him as number 9, and if you don't know, that was actually a tribute to his favorite player, which was Gordie Howe. In March of 1966, he became the first NHL player to score more than 50. One of them was Maurice Richard. Jeff Freon got 50 as well. It was against the Rangers in Chicago. He got a 7-minute standing ovation, and he ended up getting 54 that season. Hull's career was over. He had scored 50 goals or more 5 times, so pretty unbelievable. They say the modern-day record for the hardest slap shot, I guess it was held by McInnes for a while. I think Iafrate broke it, and then even a couple years ago, Chad Kilger, I guess, shot 106 plus. His slap shot was clocked at 118.3 miles an hour. That's almost 200 K. One of the major reasons why goaltenders even wear masks. Guys nowadays with the composite sticks that are supposed to be super hard shooting, they can't shoot it anywhere near 120, and he could skate almost 50K. This is why, to me, he was hugely influential. He was the big guy who switched and got the $1 million contract, the first $1 million contract for a player. He got it from the Dub, which forced the NHL to start thinking about giving people more money. This was the first in a series of contracts for other players, but this was the first in a series of events that took the control and the power from totally the owners. I mean, the owners, they really didn't treat their players very well back in the day. Players got hosed, really, when you think about it. The pension's bad, the pay was awful. Power and control shifted some to the players. All of a sudden, they had more power, they had more control. Agents started coming out of the woodwork. His contract was huge, and his shot was huge. Up to that point, a lot of guys didn't have the fan notoriety, the Hollywoodism that Hull displayed. Out in the papers of Hull walking around with his shirt off, and he always had the blonde hair. He's always looking good. He took hockey, and he made it more of a show, and he made the business bigger. And, of course, he changed the business with his contract, but he made the players become more celebrities. This guy changed hockey. 1,170 points in 1,063 games, 3 Art Ross trophies, 2 Hart Memorial trophies, a Lady Byng Memorial trophy, Stanley Cup championship. Hugely influential guy in the history of hockey. I don't want us to forget about the history of hockey. That's your show for today. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow with Wednesday Fights, and take it easy.